Okay, we're ready, Holly. All right, now that we have a quorum here, we'll go ahead and call this planning and zoning meeting to order. This Wednesday, May 10th, the hour 7 p.m. here at City Council Chambers. It is actually 7:13 p.m. First item on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you all rise, repeat the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Next item on our agenda is our roll call. Commissioner Proctor.
Present.
Commissioner Newell.
Here.
Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
I am Chairman Hamilton. I am also here. Will please excuse Commissioners Robinson, Hammer, Goches, Sloan, Jensen, and Dunn. We'll recognize staff members Hanson, Agard, Baker, Potter, and Council Member Brady. Thank you guys for all attending. Number 3 on our agenda here is our public hearing and decision on a conditional use permit request by Matt Hendrickson to authorize the use of warehouse for 2.1 acres of property located at 1121 West Utah Avenue in the LI Light Industrial Zoning District. Mr. Agard.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before I jump into the presentation, just a reminder that since there are only 4 of you here tonight, in order to make a recommendation or pass an item, it has to be unanimous. We have to have 4 votes. So in order to approve an item, we have to have a majority of the commission, not just a majority of the quorum. So if we don't, if we're not unanimous on something, then I guess it would fail, right, Roger? Or
It would, unless you rescued it by saying, let's just table it and come back.
okay.
Probably be a better option, huh?
So moving into the first item, this is an application for a conditional use permit located on the 2.8 acre parcel highlighted in red on the aerial photograph. It's located just west of 1100 West, south of Utah Ave, and then east of Union Pacific Railroad. It's a vacant piece of property. Commission may be familiar with this, as a couple of months ago, an applicant retained a conditional use permit to do storage units. They wish to change the plan and do a flex space development. The property is currently zoned light industrial. We have some RR1 to the south, RR1 to the north, and then some light industrial to the west as well as to the south. Most of the properties around there are undeveloped except for the mobile home park to the north, and I believe there is a residence on the LI property just south of the proposed development. The use of flex space is not immediately defined in our ordinance or in the table of commercial uses. However, what they do with these spaces is they store materials, and they might have an office. So a small contractor could run a business out of there using the space to store his vehicles, to store materials that he works with, and then run an office there. It's no different than a large warehouse that stores materials and has office space. So we're confident that the use warehouse covers what they're proposing, and office uses are permitted in the light industrial zone. So with the conditional use permit, we're comfortable that they can do what they're proposing on the property. This is a concept plan that they provided. It's a pretty simple layout, a couple of accesses onto Utah Avenue. They're next to the RR1 zone, so there's some additional spacing for the buildings there. They are proposing some fencing, some solid vinyl fencing along the south property line. This is not a site plan review, so we're not really getting into the specifics of site plan, but the concept plan is provided for your reference to identify any concerns if there are any. So that's what they're proposing. This item it does require a public hearing, and notices were sent to property owners within 200 feet. I have not received any comments, and we're recommending approval of the conditional use permit with the conditions listed in your staff report.
Okay, perfect. Let's bring this back to the commission for questions or comments for staff. Pretty straightforward. Instead of a storage unit, a storage yard. So. All right, this item does require a public hearing. Is the applicant present tonight? Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for this particular item.
My name is Kalani Mascherino,
And I travel this road several times a day, actually. My concern is, I know UDOT has a master plan, but off of 10th West, 1000 West, I'm not sure, is there a plan to put a stoplight or something there? Because it is already a kind of hold your breath and hope for the best, especially with the railroad. Many, many times we get stopped by the railroad and people are trying to pull out from White's and people are trying to get, it's everybody's trying to turn in there, and probably once a week I see an accident. So I'm nervous about like what's going to be pulling in and out of there, gravel trucks or what, that's going to be stopping everybody, and it already backs clear down forever when the train comes to the west Grantsville side. So how light is light industrial is probably my question, and if there's going to be some kind of safety put in there, because it's already really hard when the train comes to get, and then when the train finally goes, you wait even longer, or gets past. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else approach, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this particular item. Andrew, do you have any outlook on UDOT's plan for the future of that area by chance?
At this point, that is not a UDOT road.
So it's
That is a city street.
City Street, okay.
I'm not aware of any plans to install some traffic lights there. One of the things that we could do is, if safety is a concern where the access points are Utah Ave, we could require a traffic study and see if there are some additional measures that can be taken on the road to maybe make the intersections a little safer. I don't know if Paul is aware of any plans to put a light there. If anybody could tell you, it'd be Paul. But
Paul.
That's a city street, so as far as I know, there aren't
It
any.
would be our concerns then.
No, we have no present plans, but when we met with the developer in a pre-development meeting, we indicated that a traffic study would be required and that they would need to comply with, all measures that were practical. We can't put lights every 30 feet, but we would certainly be looking at traffic safety as part of this development and its proximity to the railroad. But that would come later on.
It's going to come regardless then, that traffic
Yes,
study.
That's
So this-
something we've already told them that they will have to submit to us.
Okay.
Paul, can I follow up on that? Would the traffic study also identify whether one or two accesses could be safely allowed and where they are?
Yes. Yeah, the things that we indicated in that pre-development meeting were for them to look at 1100 West, the White's access, their own accesses, and proximity to the railroad and line of sight for traffic coming over the railroad to them, because the road, as was mentioned by the public, the road does drop off to the west, and so there's some visibility questions. And so we've asked them to take all of that into consideration.
And with that,
I had a question for Andrew, if I
Yes.
can.
please.
I'm sorry, Andrew, I didn't read the report closely enough. Mention was made of a solid vinyl fence on the south property line. Since the developer has offered that, is that something that we should list as a condition? Or have you already done that in the staff report?
It was offered by the developer to put the fence there. The only reason that the fence was brought up is because the property is zoned RR1, and when you have commercial next to residential, the ordinance specifically states the planning commission can require a fence. And in the pre-development meeting, he said they were going to put the fence on that south property line anyway.
So we might be able to say that the owners to the south would experience a detrimental impact of the adjacent light industrial without a view obscuring fence separating the two potentially incompatible uses, and that a fence would be a reasonable condition to mitigate that concern. Would you feel comfortable with that, Andrew?
Absolutely.
I think that's an excellent point, yes, for sure. And barring the traffic study too, that won't hinder this conditional use permit as moving forward.
No,
right?
that would be done under the site plan
Okay,
application.
okay, perfect. All right. Any other questions from the commission for staff? Thank you, Roger, I appreciate your input. All right, I'll entertain a motion on item number 3 on our agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Jensen,
I move we approve the conditional use permit requested by Matt Hendrickson to authorize the use of warehouse to occur at the subject property located at 1121 Utah Avenue, application number P23-350, based on the findings and subject to the conditions listed in the staff report dated May 1st, 2023, and to include site obscuring fence along the south side of the property where it abuts the residential home and the residential property.
I think that will suffice. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Commissioner Newell. Commissioner Proctor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Newell?
Aye.
Commissioner Jensen?
Aye.
I'm Chairman Hamilton. I also vote aye. That one passes 4-0. All right, number 4 on our agenda here is a public hearing and recommendation on a proposed text amendment to Twila City Code, Chapter 4-8,